Good morning. It's Wednesday, February 4th, 2015. This is Tech Talk Today, episode 127. And yes, it really is episode 127. And why, yes, my name is Chris. Today, we've got a smattering of news, some local to the U.S., some outside the U.S. All of it pretty big deal, though. So before we go any further, to help me break it all down, let me bring in the Mumble Room. Time-appropriate greetings, Mumble Room.
Hello.
Hello. Hey. Breaking it down. Hi. Hey guys, so we teased it yesterday a little bit. I said we'd have more information about it, and now we do. The FCC Chairman, Tom Wheeler, has outlined in an article posted by Wired how he plans to propose that the Internet be reclassified to Title II. He says this is, after more than a decade of debate and record-setting proceeding that attracted nearly 4 million public comments, the time to settle the net neutrality question has arrived. This week, I will circulate to the members of the Federal Communications Commission proposed new rules to preserve the Internet as an open platform for innovation and free expression. This proposal is rooted in long-standing regulatory principles, marketplace experience, and public input received over the last several months. Now... This is big. Now, we don't know to the extent exactly. We're going to have more details soon. But before we even have everything out by the chairman, AT&T is already previewing their lawsuit that they plan to file against the FCC over their net neutrality rules. So it seems like AT&T has resigned just basically to fight this. And they say, I have no illusions that any of this will change on what happens on February 26th. The FCC is expected to vote. AT&T's regulatory VP Hank Halsquist wrote in a blog post, but when the FCC has to defend reclassification before an appeals court, it will have to grapple with these and other arguments. Those who oppose efforts to compromise because they assume Title II resets on bulletproof legal theories are only deceiving themselves. In other words, they're going to try to fight it, I guess. Title II classification. Now, some people that are outside the U.S. have said that they find this to be sort of interesting because they also suspect that this could have some ramifications in their neck of the woods one of these days. I remain on the fence about Title II. I think initially it could be a good thing, but I worry that Title II could end up sort of like the DSL networks and the phone networks in the U.S., where they sort of got to a certain point, and then nobody was really all that interested in pushing them forward, and they came up with new technologies outside of that. The market was bursting out. Now they're all investing in wireless, and I wonder if this could maybe just sort of, I worry this could sort of just entrench the status quo. Maybe it'll get slightly better for a short period of time, but essentially just eventually it'll just sort of plateau, and that'll be the internet, the wired internet in the U.S. And if you want something faster, I know this sounds crazy, but if you want something faster and more competitive, you'd have to go wireless. The other thing, now this is, again, totally just way out there. These are just things that, even if Title II went through all the way, these things could still be prevented that I'm worried about. Doesn't mean they're going to happen. But other things I worry about is the next shoe. If the FCC is regulating what the Internet is and how it should be used and how it can be used, then do they also eventually begin to regulate what goes over the Internet, like they do with TV waves? Did they start to get complaints about certain websites, like they do about Janet Jackson's nipple slip, and then they take action against that? Is that something that could eventually happen? Could there be maybe licensing requirements for broadcasting? I don't know. I don't think so. But I don't know if maybe if does this put in place the foundation to enable that if, say, that was the direction things wanted to go. Mumble Room, am I overreacting? Do you think this is actually going to be a good thing? I mean, overall, it probably is, right? I'm probably just worried about nothing, don't you think?
So there's actually three things to this, at least in my perspective. One of which is they already do regulate the internet, and actually everything that you go and you consider cyberbullying or criminal cybercrime.
Yeah, sure.
If you want to categorize, it's already their responsibility. So it does make sense that it becomes.
It's not the FCC's responsibility, though. See, the FCC has traditionally
they participate in it.
The FCC? No, not now. But the FCC traditionally does get involved if it's in a jurisdiction that they regulate. Right now, you'll have things like you'll have ICE that gets involved, or you'll have the FBI that gets involved, or even the DEA, but you don't generally have the it's a lot of acronyms, I know. But I don't think the FCC generally gets involved in these kinds of things yet. I mean, you might have another agency now that does get involved.
But in one way, that's already regulated, and I don't feel afraid now it's the FCC.
Right.
As a foreigner, looking at it and knowing that it will affect me, That's how I look at it.
Yeah,
it's like
that makes sense.
There's always an institution that does that regulation.
Yeah, that makes sense.
In that case, that's not necessarily problematic as long as people can actually have a vote or a voice to express in that institution.
And
so when we go and we say to communications, just look at how much your mailbox actually became an electronic mailbox.
Yeah.
So it's extremely important that you have access to it in a fair way.
Well,
and at that point, when you look at the infrastructure investment, is not that higher.
Right.
Actually, it's one of the reasons they want to enforce Title II, because it will guarantee that at least investment will continue to happen in the current rate, because it's only proponent to lower, because only the big ones paying will have access to it. So they will keep the same infrastructure. Incentive to
all right, stop there. All right, so now because I wanted Eric to pick off a point from what you just touched on. Eric, you're also of the opinion that we're already at the point where the internet's a utility to most people, right?
Yeah, I have actually considered it a utility because I need it in order to, one, apply for jobs, two, do anything that might make me any money as even a photographer. So it's one of those things where it's essential for humans to exist nowadays. So there's that. And the other part of it is I had another point, and that had to do with the censorship issue. The thing is, you gotta remember, TV is a push medium, whereas internet is a pull medium. The web is a pull medium. So people are picking and choosing on the internet what they want to see, whereas on the TV, you don't really have a choice. It's all just there. You just flip the channel.
Yeah, and ham radio, you say it's sort of something has to break, something has to happen.
Yeah, I agree. I think if people don't do something, it's just going to get more regulated and more shut down. Title II is 81 years old that they're trying to apply to something that's only 10 years old. So I think something needs to be done. Otherwise, it's just going to get harder and harder.
I have a proposal for all of us. If this whole net neutrality thing doesn't work out, whichever way it goes, SneakerNet's the way to go. And check this out. Toshiba's got our back. Super secure encrypted USB flash drives with hardware-based encryption, and they've got on the thumb drive. It's longer than your average thumb drive because it has a keypad on the thumb drive so you can lock it. It's available in 4 gigabyte, 8 gigabyte, 16 gigabyte, 32 gigabyte capacities. $200 at the high end, $95 at the low end. It's built with a mini keyboard to get authenticated access, incorporating a rechargeable battery so the user can secure before plugging into a USB port. Users simply enter the secure PIN along and plug the drive into any USB 2.0 device. Once access is granted, then it mounts, and when you remove the drive from the port, the drive automatically relocks and encrypts the stored media. Works with Linux, Windows, Mac. It's kind of neat.
I actually thought about buying one of those at one point.
The SneakerNet will save us. So there you go. Of course, if here's somebody who just doesn't care about Title II, doesn't care about encryption, that's you, Internet Explorer users. Yes, I am passing judgment, unless you don't have a choice. But there's a serious bug in the fully patched editions of Internet Explorer that could put users' credentials at risk. They're working on a patch. It's a universal cross-site scripting vulnerability in Internet Explorer, which successfully even works on IE 11, running on both Windows 7 and 8.1. The vulnerability is known as a universal cross-site scripting bug. It allows attackers to bypass the same origin policy, a crucially important principle in web application models that prevents one site from accessing or modifying the browser cookies of another set by another site. So the proof of concept exploit published in the past few days shows how websites can violate this rule when people use supported versions of Internet Explorer, even with the latest patches applied. Stop using Internet Explorer. That's your Tech Talk Today advice.
I use an Internet Explorer to download another browser.
Yeah,
there you go.
What is that quote? Internet Explorer is the best browser to download Firefox. Do I have that about right?
Internet Explorer is the best. Internet Explorer is the best web browser to download another browser.
There you go. So, hey, you guys, you know who's crazy? Crazy like a fox?
Valve.
Yeah, it's Valve. Yeah, Valve's crazy. One of the things I followed over 2014 is how developers just be hating on openGL. And I'm like, no, guys, come on. That's all we got on Linux. Don't hate on it. Like, we want games. And I don't want you to, don't go look at DirectX. Well, crazy Valve has planned a big presence at this year's GDC, which we will be covering on Tech Talk today as it happens March 2nd through the 6th. I think, or it's either like March 2nd or something. It's somewhere it's early March. And Valve, on the schedule for GDC, has something called GL Next on the schedule, a presentation they're going to give on the future of high-performance graphics. And the internet is ripe with rumors that Valve is about to announce the next replacement for openGL, the openGL killer. And then they're going to call it GL Next. What do you guys think?
Quick question. Is it open source?
I don't know. We haven't heard yet. I would assume, right?
Because if it's like in the waves of Metal, I've actually worked with Metal and it's pretty interesting, actually good. But it's again lock-in to Apple. So if they're going to get their own lock-in, I'm not happy.
No. Well, here's what we know just from like the schedule description. That's pretty much all the info we're going off of. They say, join us for the unveiling of Kronos' GL Next initiative, the upcoming cross-platform graphics API designed for modern programming techniques and processors. GL Next will be a singular choice for developers who demand peak performance in their applications. We will present a technical breakdown of the API, advanced techniques, and live demos of real applications running on GL Next drivers and hardware. My gut says it's going to be an open system.
I hope so.
I would think so.
So Art of Music says it's the Kronos group, so it's an open standard, not open source. So I don't recognize the Kronos group, but he does apparently because he's probably smarter than me. So I buy what Art of Music is putting down. That makes sense to me. Okay.
Yeah.
So I have a Kickstarter of the week, and it's a little pervy. So I'm going to say going forward, if you are in a place where there's things that might not be safe for work or inappropriate, you probably want to skip this next part of the show, the last few minutes. This came in via the Tech Talk Today subreddit. It's the only Kickstarter of the week that was sent in, so we're going to do it. But unfortunately, they didn't link to the actual Kickstarter. It was like a self-post. They just talked about it. So I went and did some searching. So now that's in my Google history. And I came across the mod. It is a multi-vibrating open source dildo. And it has 11 days left. It is at $27,000 of $50,000, so it's 55% funded. I haven't watched the video yet, but I'm sure it's excellent. So why don't we just go ahead and we'll just sit back and enjoy the Indiegogo video here.
Here at Commingle, we've been working for over a year to bring you our flagship product, the Mod. It's powerful, self-contained, gender-neutral, and you can rapidly pattern and control it with any kind of sensor you want. This multi-vibrating, open-source dildo platform is a unique, awesome toy that we want to share with the world.
The first thing to know about the Mod is that it's an amazing vibrator. We worked hard to rebuild this most basic of sex toys without sacrificing the core qualities that make a great dildo. Our devices are made from 100% body-safe silicone. It's durable,
Wow.
easy to clean, and feels great. It's totally flexible too, since unlike many vibrators, our motors are directly encased in the silicone. This lets you get the Vibe's full power in any position you want. As Commingle grows and develops, we will also offer our Mod platform in a variety of different form factors.
Oh, good.
The sensation is one of the best features of this product.
Okay.
The Mod's 3 powerful, independently vibrating motors don't just triple the amount of power available, they open up new types of sensation. There's usually a trade-off between a device's form factor and the type of pleasure you can get from it.
Right.
Something people really like in sex toys are powerful, low-frequency vibrations, a rumbly feel. You need a really big motor to get this. To get the same power out of a smaller motor, you need a much higher frequency. This causes more of a buzzing feel, which can actually be numbing after a while and reduce sensation. By using several smaller motors, however, we can create the rumble of a larger vibe. Because we have this group of vibes, though, you can also target specific areas of your body, simulate motion.
Is that the butt?
Finally, the USB rechargeable battery provides all the power you need for long-lasting play.
Recharged over USB. It's a dildo platform.
What's a dildo platform?
Yeah.
First of all, it's fully programmable. Our custom Arduino-based microcontroller embedded in the toy gives you full control over how it stimulates you.
Okay.
It comes pre-programmed with lots of fun patterns, but you can run new ones straight from our website.
Of course you can.
You can also code your own custom patterns
Right.
and share them with the Commingle community.
Right.
The
Interaction.
mod is also fully controllable.
Okay, now we're talking.
We give you access to their Arduino's input pins, which let you control the toy with literally anything.
Okay, so Wii
For
controller.
instance, squeezing, thrusting motions.
Okay.
Music. Cameras. Paddles. Geiger counters. Head
Geiger
massagers,
counters?
And your pulse
Could you imagine testing this thing?
are just some of the inputs that let your toy react to any sexy situation with you or your partner.
Wow, that's weird.
Look at that.
Our engineers have also been working with web-based serial APIs to let you control your device directly over the internet.
How are they keeping a straight face?
Curious for more details
Like
on
they're serious
exactly
about
how
this.
the mod works? Because Commingle is committed to open source, we provide you with all the details to build one yourself. Our free documentation of all of our toys and techniques lets you not only design any modifications you want, but also assures you that we only use safe ingredients. We see this open source sex toy platform as a key for opening up the world of sex toy innovations. We've done dozens of iterations and are currently refining our manufacturing process to get these in the hands of as many people as possible.
Right.
So whether you're a sexy hacker
Yeah.
or a hacky sexer,
Okay.
you're gonna have a lot of fun with the mod.
I think I am.
We really appreciate your contribution to helping us develop this and other open source
Oh,
sex
wow.
toys
Oh,
at
wow.
Commingle. Thank you.
That was a dildo shower at the end there.
Well, I was more worried about what was being showered on.
I just love the fact that you can control it with a Wii U control, not a Wii U, a regular Wii controller, the nunchuck controller.
So this is obviously a thing that's going to be happening, and there's probably some on the market. I know a couple of you wanted to jump in. Who wants to go first in the mumble room on this? Yeah,
I want.
Okay, go ahead. Okay.
Because so I have a whole range of issues, but I'm going to try to really be concise about this. So the first thing is they missed the presentation. This is a device that is mostly stimulating for women, and they didn't use a woman on the device. Like the actual woman wasn't being the one surrounded by the dildo. So
Maybe
unisex.
could be a guy that wants to use it. Yeah.
So there's also but yeah, that's the most likely market, right?
I don't know.
It's like you can do a tool for left-handed people, but how many of people are actually left-handed, right? I have to make that question.
Okay. All right. Okay.
So on the same range, so in the publicity, I think they lost the opportunity. Now, when we talk about the device, I think this is actually targeting more the companies that already sell that kind of product and that will like flexibility on building their product. Perhaps they will have a market on that.
So you think they could sell to existing manufacturers, i.e. the platform aspect? Yeah.
Exactly. So as a platform for those types of customers. But when you talk about crowdfunding and people actually funding this, I'm sorry, I feel it's going to be a failure.
One thing that's interesting is the video chat support. We process the image coming from the webcam. The more movement in the image, the more intense the mod's response. Huh.
Yeah, but that's like there's the bra thing, the pants thing, like already.
Heartbeat
with the smartphone
sensor.
app.
Heartbeat sensor allows you to feel the arousal of your partner by throbbing the toy with the heartbeat. I don't know.
That's not compelling. Like.
Okay, how about this? They plan to build in rapid charging. Huh? That's a handy feature.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else?
Handy feature.
Yeah. Hey. Anybody else have any
Nice.
comments on this particular Kickstarter of the week?
Just that I can't unsee it.
It's got a Dilduino in it. I think that's funny. The Dilduino is a great step forward for small Arduino derivatives. It has many built-in features that are often lacking on microcontrollers designed for embedded devices: onboard battery charging, integrated motor driver, I2C analog inputs, PWM output, and serial I/O. They're releasing the OSX library, the OSX library. The OSX Arduino library is software to make it easy to reprogram and experiment with your mod. I actually think this is kind of neat. I say go for it. Good for them.
Kind of punny.
It is very
There's only
punny.
one There's actually one other thing that I noticed in the video. They show editing the software, right? But they didn't create it like a control panel. Like people will be able to buy apps for it, like that give specific stimulation.
They're going to have a sharing portal on their site, man. Open source stimulating apps. That's truly stimulating open source software.
And I like the name that the anime and the IRC called it, But Do We Know?
Well, I'll have a link to this in the show notes if you want to get in on that open source dildo platform action. It's definitely, I don't know, I wish Andrew was here so she could tell us if she'd back it, but unfortunately she's got to do bus stop duty these days.
I think all the 12-year-olds in our audience are probably blushing right now.
Yeah, maybe so. All right, well, we'll leave it at that. We'll have a link there. You can let us know how it turns out if you get one. I don't think I'll be backing this particular project, but have at it if that's your thing. Don't forget to join us, and thank you for submitting that to the subreddit. I assume that was the one you meant to submit, because unless there's other open source sex toys out there that are also going for crowdfunding, if that wasn't the one you meant to submit, go update your post on the Tech Talk Today subreddit with the link to the actual Kickstarter. You can also submit anything. You, no, not you, right there, you. I'm talking to you. You could submit stuff to our subreddit, techtalktoday.reddit.com, to make this show even better. Give us a little bit better of an idea of what you want included. And hey, before I get out of here, the cat is out of the bag, as they say. Ladies and gentlemen, help us celebrate TechSnap 200 with a brand new shirt and a brand new logo. TechSnap has a brand new clean logo to celebrate episode 200 of the TechSnap program. It looks sharp, and you can pick up a shirt at teespring.com/TechSnap. We got the short sleeves over there. We got the ladies tee. I also really recommend, the hoodie's great, but I really, really, really recommend the long sleeve shirt. Out of all the ones we always end up buying, those are the ones I like the best over and over again. And they're cut really well if you're a little heavier set. Generously cut. So I like them a lot. Anyways, teespring.com/TechSnap to help us celebrate TechSnap 200. Okay. So speaking of those 12-year-olds, Eric, I don't know if they know about Radio Shack, but we were talking about how Radio Shack is going to be shutting down yesterday. And it occurred to me right after we got off the air that, you know what we need to do is we need to watch a classic Radio Shack commercial to celebrate that store's passing. Even though it's been shut down in other parts around the world, it's finally coming to a close here in the United States of America. And so I wanted to say goodbye to Radio Shack as they go through their transition with a classic 1980s Radio Shack computer commercial. Join us tomorrow, jblive.tv, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. Bye, everybody. See you tomorrow.
Some people have big plans after school. You know what Elliot's going to do? Jeff, too. Elliot's at work on a book report using Scripted on Radio Shack's Color Computer 3. It hooks up to his TV. And Jeff's at his Radio Shack Color Computer 3 playing the newest football game. But wait, what's Elliot doing playing new Super Pitfall? And Jeff's having a blast with a new math tutor. You never know what you might try with more than 100 programs for fun and learning. Radio Shack's Color Computer 3 comes with everything you see here. Other items each sold separately. Only at